Good morning. Welcome to the YWCA's Talk on Health. The Talk on Health is an event that's done in collaboration with the Lower Cape Fear YWCA and the Wilmington chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. As always, we are delighted to have you with us today. Please feel free to come into the chat and ask any questions that you have as we move through our talk today. As most of you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I personally always hold this month very dear to me because this is the birthday month of my aunt who I lost from breast cancer. We have a lot of wonderful conversations today from survivors and about breast cancer. So please feel free to ask us questions. As always, I need to begin with a land acknowledgement. The YWCA of Lower Cape Fear serves the people located within the Lower Cape Fear region. This land once thrived with life from the indigenous peoples known today as the Cape Fear Indians and the Waccamaw Siouan Indian people. They lived in establishments settled along the Lower Cape Fear River and Lake Waccamaw, along with many other established sites in the region. We need to protect and honor the history of these places. Indigenous people are not relics of the past. They are still here and continue to demonstrate their talent and gifts amidst the backdrop of ongoing colonialism and oppression. They are worth celebrating. We hope our land acknowledgement statement will inspire others to stand with us in solidarity with Native nations. Thank you very much. We have three wonderful guests here today, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, beginning with Carolyn Leonard.
I'm Carolyn Leonard, and I am a breast cancer survivor since 2013.
Thank you for being here, Carolyn.
Well, thank you for asking me.
And next we have Beth Andrew.
Hi, I'm Beth Andrew. I am the coordinator and instructor for the YWCA of the Lower Cape Fear's Flow Motion program.
Thank you for being here today, Beth.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Laura Clark.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm the breast navigator, breast oncology coordinator at New Hanover Regional Medical Center, Zimmer Cancer Center. I'm a liaison between the, sorry, coming off cold, between patients and the clinicians.
Thank you very much for being here, Laura. And we're going to start today with be a little different today. And Beth is going to give us a demonstration.
Yes, so part of our program is in the water at the Aquatic Center at the YWCA pool in Wilmington. And part of it is a Zoom mat class each Monday night. It's a Pilates-based program altogether, whether we're on the mat or in the water. Pilates is a method that was created by a real person. His name was Joseph Pilates, and it helps develop mobility, flexibility, strength, and all the good stuff that a body needs to walk around in the world. So I thought I would share a little bit of what we do on Monday nights and do a little demo, a warm up as it may be. You're welcome to join me, all the panelists here. Just find a spot on the floor, and anybody at home can join me as well. So I am gonna come up here on my mat. And I always make a plan. I'm a planner. You can do Pilates anywhere, on the floor. You can even do it on your couch sometimes if you need to. So we're just gonna start by sitting nice and tall. You're going to imagine that your back is against an imaginary wall, and you're just going to take a couple of deep breaths here. So inhale through your nose and then exhale a deep sigh out. Inhale again through your nose, and on your next exhale, just imagine that all the air is leaving that upper body, belly button pulling away from your t-shirt. Good. You're gonna reach your arms forward. Your back is still against that imaginary wall. You're gonna inhale, and on your exhale, you're gonna tuck your chin and just dive forward. Just kind of let your head drip between your arms and take a couple of deep breaths there as you rest. You're gonna inhale again, and then you're gonna stack your spine against your imaginary wall, sitting up tall. Your shoulders soften out of your ears, and we do that again. You're gonna inhale, tuck your chin, exhale, dive forward. Imagine that you're a bow and arrow. That body formation is a big bow and arrow. And then on your exhale, you're gonna sit up nice and tall, shoulders soften out of your ears. You can take a look over one shoulder with an exhale. And then with your next exhale, you can take a look over your other shoulder. Inhale, and on your exhale, you can look forward. You're going to take your arms out wide to the side, and we're just going to do a little twist here. So you're going to twist to one side just to kind of warm up that core, and then twist to the other side. Good. Take a deep breath there. Arms come out again. Maybe flip your hands. So if your palms were facing up, now they're facing down, vice versa. You're going to do a little twist to one side. Exhale. Inhale, takes it around. Exhale when you get to the other side. Good. You can bring it back to center. Bring your arms forward. Tuck your chin and round your spine. Reach through your feet. Maybe a little bit further this time. Inhale here, and on your exhale, you're going to sit up nice and tall. Now we've warmed up your arms right there just by lifting them and twisting them around, but we're going to do a little bit more here. So you're going to reach your hands forward. You're going to take them up overhead, take them out wide to the side, and then bring them out in front again. Inhale, takes your arms up. Exhale, takes them out. Bring them in. This helps increase that range of motion and that mobility that Carolyn mentioned earlier in our conversation before the chat. Reach your hands up, take it out wide. Bring your arms in together, and then we reverse. Take it out to the side. Bring both of your arms up. Bring it down. Two more, just like that. Inhale, takes it out. Exhale, lifts up, and then take it forward. Last one, take it out. Bring it up. Reach your hands forward. From here, you're going to come to cactus arms. And just so you can see what that looks like, you're going to just do that right there. Just kind of let your shoulders soften out of your ears. You're going to touch your fingertips up over your head, and then exhale, lower them down. Inhale, reaches up. Exhale, lowers them down. One more, just like that. Reach and lower, and you're probably going to want to rest your arms. I sure do. I'm going to scooch myself a little forward because I'm going to go back on my back. I'm also going to do some bridge work, so I'm taking off shoes and socks. All right, you're going to reach forward, tuck your chin, and you're going to reach forward again. This time, you're going to come back to lying flat on the mat. If you need an assist, place your hand right by your side. You're going to inhale here, and on your exhale, roll yourself down, keeping that round feeling for as long as you can while you reach the floor, bone by bone by bone. Okay, so from here, you're going to bend your knees so that your feet are on the ground and your knees are bent. You can do a little rock side to side. One goes to one side and then to the other. Place your hands on the mat, and you can use this as an activity by just pressing into your mat with your hands, your fingertips, your forearms, even your triceps, which a lot of women and men love to work. So you're going to inhale to prepare. Exhale, do a little sink your belly button away from your t-shirt, and then lift your booty, your low back, and your mid back off that mat. This strengthens the hips and warms up your glutes. Soften your shoulders out of your ears. Inhale here, and on your exhale, you're going to lower yourself down, bone by bone by bone. Again, we lift, we inhale, take it up, press into your hands and your arms and into your feet, and then lower it down, slow as you can go. All right, you might want to bring your knees into your chest and do a little rock side to side. We're going to do a little icing on the cake. So we're going to do a little march out of our bridge. So you might want to walk your feet a little closer to your booty. Press your hands into your mat. Lift up into your bridge. Think about pressing into your left foot and take your right foot high to the sky. Lower that foot back down to the mat and lift the other foot high to the sky. Lower that foot one more time, each side. Lift and lower, lift and lower, and then roll your spine down, down, down to the mat. Nice and easy. You can bring your knees into your chest and do a little rock side to side. All right, from here, your feet can go back on the floor. You're going to take your left leg up high to the sky and wrap your hands around the backs of your legs. So you're going to do climb a tree here. So you're going to do a little bend and straighten and bend and straighten. You're going to send that leg high to the sky, trying to find a spot where your knee is as not locked out, but as straight as it can be. You can brace it on both sides. You're going to flex your foot and point your toe. Flex and point, and then you're going to circle your ankle in one direction, circle it in the other direction, and then here comes the climb a tree. So you tuck your chin, you reach up towards your ankle with one hand, up towards your ankle with the other hand, and then walk back down to your knee, to your thigh, and to your thigh. One more time, you reach up to your shin, up to your ankle, and then you lower it down one by one. You can bend your knee, place that foot on the floor. Warming up your legs here. Obviously, you're going to take that other leg high to the sky. You're going to bend and straighten and bend and straighten. And then you're going to flex and point a couple of times. I try not to cry when I do that. You're going to circle your ankle. My hamstrings are tight today, so that one sometimes makes tears. All right, so you're going to flex and point, circle that ankle both ways, and then you're going to climb the tree. Your leg is the tree. You're going to climb up to your shin and your ankle, and then back down the tree and come down. Again, you take it up, 2, 3, take it down, 2, 3. You can bend that knee, place that foot on the floor. Do a little side to side. And then we are going to turn over onto our stomachs, front side. You're going to place your hands, this is swan. If anybody's done yoga, this looks a lot like cobra. In Pilates, it's called swan. So you place your hands right underneath your shoulders. Your forehead can be on the mat. You're going to squeeze your elbows in close to your ribs. Press into your tops of your feet way down here. And when you're ready, you're going to inhale, lift yourself up and lower it down. Good. Inhale here. Exhale, press yourself up, 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 and then lower it down. You're going to flip to one side, and we're going to do a little more leg work. We warmed it up with the climb a tree. We're going to do some clamshells here. All right, so I like to say bring your heels into your booty. You're going to lift your knee and lower. You're going to lift and lower. Just one more of these, lift and lower. But on this, we add icing on the cake. We're going to add some kicks. So you lift your knee, kick, bring it in and down, lift, kick, in and down. Just one more, lift, kick, in and down, and you can rest. You're going to flip over to your back, and that top leg, the one that we just worked, is going to do a little crossover. Ankle crosses your knee, and then you can bend that bottom leg in, thread your hands through to your legs, and do the figure 4. We have appropriately named this the Barbara stretch because Barbara is one of our longest time members, and this is her favorite. Whether you're in the pool or on the mat, you can do the Barbara stretch. All right, so you can just stay there for a second, maybe bend or lean to one side and then to the other. And then you're going to come out of that and flip to the other side. So heels come into your booty. Your hand can be here for a little bit of balance. You're going to lift your knee and lower, lift and lower. One more lift and lower, and then we add the kick. So we lift, kick, in and down, lift, kick, in and down. We'll do one more lift, kick, in and down, and rest. And then we get to do the figure 4 barber stretch on the other side. So cross that ankle of the leg we just worked and get your little figure 4, a little lean side to side. You can extend your legs long on the mat. And at the start of this, we did arm circles and cactus arms, and we're going to do a little bit of that lying on the mat. So you reach both your arms up high to the ceiling. You take them out wide to the side and then slide them back so they reach back on the mat. Lift them up, inhale, exhale, take them out wide to the side and then reach back on the mat. One more time in this direction, reach up, think belly button pulling away from your t-shirt, strong through your ribs and your hips, reach out to the side and then take those arms back behind you. Reach up here, and then we'll repeat in the opposite direction. So take those arms back, take them out wide to the side, and then reach them up, take them back. Working on that range of motion, that mobility in your arms. One more time, bring it up. Then we're gonna do cactus arms. So I like to say, go ahead and like bend your elbows, and then you're gonna place them out wide to the side. So just you kind of relax here, let your hands fall. Some people wind up here. Some people can wind up down on the mat. You just kind of let your arms relax. You can bring your elbows in towards your ribs and then take it out. And then one more, bring them in towards your ribs. From here, you reach back one more time, take your hands over your head and then let them hover just by your side. Now, for most people who have seen Pilates, this is what they know of mat Pilates, and this is the 100. I am not doing the 100 today, but I will show you a little sample of it. So you're going to inhale to prepare, exhale, go ahead and tuck your chin without even lifting your head, neck, and shoulders. That in and of itself is an exercise. But if you want a little extra, you lift your head, neck, and shoulders, and you start little beats right here. You inhale and exhale, think of that belly button pulling away from your t-shirt and a little float up towards your knees. If you want some icing on the cake, you can take your feet high to the sky and then lower them down. Think about floating up a little higher for 3, 2, 1. Bend your knees and relax. I started to not be able to talk there, so I just do a little bend side to side. All right, I'm going to extend my legs out. Make sure we're not doing anything else here. We're going to reach our hands over our head and we're going to come up to a seated position. Again, if you need an assist, use your hand right by your side. Inhale, take your arms back. Exhale, tuck your chin, round your spine. Keep it as round as you can as you reach over your feet and then sit up nice and tall. All right. Because I don't like to be backwards from where I started, I'm going to be here. I'm going to spread my feet out a little wider than I have, and I'm going to flex my feet like crazy. I'm going to reach my hands out again, and this time I'm going to take my arms out wide to the side. I'm hitting the artwork over here, so I can't do that. But I'm going to take this right pinky finger and twist to my left pinky toe. I'm going to reach back behind me. Bring it around to center. Left pinky goes to left pinky toe and reach in opposition, working on our blind spot. You're going to come back to center, reach your hands forward and dive one more time through. Bring your back up against that imaginary wall. You can sit to face the camera, and I like to sit in a Z sit with one shin here and one shin to my side. I'm going to take my, the shin that's like facing out that way. I'm going to take that arm up high to the sky. Hand is here, and I'm just going to do a little side bend over. This is called mermaid. Inhale here, and on your exhale, take the other arm up with a little cartwheel here. And then a little cartwheel over to the first side. And then we switch it up a little bit. Feet come over. Start with leaning away from that shin on the side. You take it over. Inhale. Exhale. Do your little cartwheel. Take it over one more time each side. Bring it up and over. Good. You can come back to center. I like to finish with a little bit of butterfly. So your feet come together, your knees come up and then float down. Shoulders soften out of your ears. Inhale. Knees come up. Exhale. Every molecule of air comes out of that upper body. Inhale and exhale. You can let your legs float. Take your hands off. You can sit any way that's comfortable. And you are done for the day. Thank you so much. Little Pilates.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Definitely plan on incorporating some of that into my exercise routine.
Yes, good.
I do a lot of yoga, but we do, I mean, my yoga teacher throws in some Pilates also. So we do a little bit of that too. It's fun.
Good. Yeah, it's some of it's the same. Some of the stretches are the same, but it's a lot. As you can see, there's a little more of a constant flow, not a lot of holding positions. It's a lot of more constant flow.
Okay. Why do you think Pilates is good for breast cancer survivors?
So I'm going to move closer to the camera so y'all can hear me and see me a little bit better. So I've had the fortune to watch these women from the deck of the pool. The Pilates itself is great, as I mentioned, because it develops strength. It helps with posture. It helps mostly with that range of motion. Like I can see it, especially when we had in-person classes, which we will have again, in-person mat Pilates. You could see the range of motion with, you know, having cactus arms that started here and then became here. And then, you know, we're able to reach above. That lymphedema that Carolyn will probably talk about, and any scarring that happens because of surgeries like that, Pilates is, you know, is perfect for that. It's low impact, and yet can build strength in other areas of your body, so that women can walk around a little taller after their treatment and after their therapy.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to Carolyn and let her share her story.
I'm having some microphone problems, so I'm looking.
We hear you well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
In May 12th, 2013, I had my annual gynecological visit, and my doctor depicted a lump in my left breast. 2 days later, I was at Delaney having a mammogram, and that confirmed that there was a potential problem. On May 23rd, a week later, I was at my surgeon's for a biopsy. The surgeon called me on Monday because that was Memorial Day weekend. And he called me while driving back from a family vacation to tell me that my biopsy had come back positive for breast cancer. He made arrangements for his nurse to come into his closed office to give me a written pathology report. And she also gave me a care bag from the regional hospital that had literature information and a little pillow. As we were working up, I want to say we are so fortunate to live in this day and time. There has been so much research done on breast cancer. And you can be male or female and get breast cancer, but there's so much research. It's been my experience through doing this program for 7 going on 8 years, we don't talk about breast cancer all the time, but when somebody comes in new, the conversation will go about their diagnosis and what they had. And everybody is different. Some people have chemotherapy first and then surgery and then radiation. I happen to have surgery and then chemotherapy. But every person is different. Some people have lumpectomies, some people have extensive reconstructions, some people opt not to. And when you get that diagnosis, you're sort of in shock. I didn't have a family history of it. And we had company that weekend. My brother and his wife were here, and I had to run to the grocery store to get something. And as I was running into the grocery store, hadn't told anybody other than, the family, and I'm just sort of nonplussed. I mean, how do you go up to somebody and say, I have breast cancer? And so I was trying to figure that out. And the first person I ran into was a friend of mine that had had breast cancer about 12 or 15 years ago. And she asked me how I was doing, and I really wasn't ready to share yet, but I opened my mouth and I closed it and I looked at Nan and I said, I just found out I have breast cancer. And she looked at me and she said, you're going to be fine. But she said, I want you to know. And I guess I told her that I was going to have surgery because the doctor and I had already discussed possibilities. And she said, I want you to know that a mastectomy does not hurt. She said, because they remove the nerve endings, basically. She said, yes, you're having surgery and, your incisions have to heal. But she said, it does not hurt. And, when you don't know what to expect, I'd never researched this. That was very comforting. So because of the biopsy, I had an experimental genetic testing called Oncotype DX that predicts recurrence. And I was very fortunate. It took several weeks for the results to come back. But when I was in the middle of everything, I was fortunate enough that my score was very low. And so my chances of recurrence were very, very low. And I was right on the borderline of whether I would need chemotherapy or not. But my oncologist chose to go ahead. He said, we'll do a modified chemotherapy because this is best practices from the association. But I was going to have 4, and then we would look into whether I would have 6 treatments, 3 weeks apart. And he dropped one of the chemotherapy drugs. So instead of having 3 in my cocktail, I would have 2. And a week later, I met with the plastic surgeon to discuss options of what I might want to do after my surgery. My surgery and the my surgeon and plastic surgeon work hand in hand. They had done hundreds of cases together. So the hard part was just getting their schedule where both of them would be available. During that time, you're having scans, blood work, pre-admission. I had decided to take early retirement before I got my diagnosis. And I had been busy figuring out what I was going to do with 35 years of class materials, and I'm a school librarian, trying to figure out what in the world I was going to do with that. And then all of a sudden I'm fitting in all these appointments. So sometimes it felt like it took forever and you didn't know what was next. And then other times you were almost overwhelmed because things were just happening so fast. So on June 14th, so almost a month after the lump was discovered, was my husband's birthday. I had surgery. because it was later in the day. I ended up spending one night in the hospital, but they had actually been planning on sending me home. I had a mastectomy on my left side. My cancer was stage 2, and it was ER positive, HR positive, HER2 negative, I believe. And 6 days later, they had me going for bone scans and CT scans. 2 weeks after the surgery, my drains were removed and I started physical therapy. I drove myself to physical therapy. I found out why you use that little program. The vibration of the car sort of jiggles things that have been messed around with, and I would put that little pillow under my arm as I was driving, and I was fine. On July 19th, I picked out a wig. One thing I found out with, they've done so much research and so many people have had these treatments, they can predict to the day when your hair will start falling out. And so I went with a friend and we had a wonderful afternoon trying on styles, changing my hair color. And then on July 26th, I started the first of my 4 rounds of chemo. I was so blessed. My sisters flew across country. One sister would come, or my daughter, that first week when I would have chemo. The first day, I would feel great after I'd had chemo. And we would go have lunch by the water, or we'd go shopping, trying to find dresses that would be comfortable for me in my recovery. And one of the best things I did was I went out and I bought exercise clothes. I was 63 years old. I had never taken yoga. But my husband, who is in pharmaceutical research in women's health care, from the very start, started feeding me articles talking about how if you exercise every day and you're recovering from breast cancer and on, you can reduce your chances of recurrence from anywhere from 10 to 44%. And even at 10%, if it's my 10%, I want to make sure that I have it. So I had my clothes. I wasn't exercising yet during, I didn't even really like to walk. If I was doing it again, I would walk more during chemo, but I had wonderful support. They would bring me healthy snacks. My husband's a wonderful cook. He would not let friends bring us food because he wanted to make sure that I ate really healthy. And that's the way he had control over it. On December 20th, so go back, August 19th, I had my head shaved. My children all had volunteered. I had a punk rock musician for one child, a college student for another. I had a feeling I would end up with a mohawk or one head side shaved. So I went to Sheila's and had a professional do it. But when we got there, she told me that the wigs that I had spent so much time picking out were not available in the color I wanted. And my husband was with me and he sits down and I thought he was doing business. He's on his cell phone. Well, he had panicked. He texted the friend and said, "We need help. Can you come over?" And she was there in 10 minutes and we proceeded to pick out different wigs. And as my head was being shaved, I looked over at Lisa and she winked at me and gave me a big smile and a thumbs up. And it just, it was just fun. December 20th, I had reconstructive surgery. On December 26th, I had 17 family members come for extended family Christmas. And then on February 3rd, I went to my first exercise class at O2. And I had my exercise clothes. I probably would not have gone that day if I had not already gotten them. My big fear, I didn't go into classes because of some hormonal therapy that I was taking. I was very stiff, and I just couldn't bring myself to go into the class with all these young people and then maybe have to go over to the wall, crawl over to the wall to stand up. I was so stiff. But I was doing treadmill and I was doing fixed weights. By February 28th, my hair was growing back in. I had been coloring it. What do you do when you have 1/4 of an inch of hair? When do you start dyeing it blonde again? Because in 2 weeks, it's another 1/4 of an inch. So half of it is your roots showing. And I found a wonderful hairdresser that just said, go natural. If you change your mind, you can do it when you have a full head of hair. Then on March 19th, I remembered an article I'd seen in the newspaper and a picture of women doing water aerobics. It was a breast cancer survivor group. Everybody in the class had had breast cancer. Some of them had been 40 years, but everyone had been through that experience. The YWCA offered it free through a grant from the hospital. Then on March 31st, there was also, with the same grant, mat Pilates being offered, and I started that. So I was doing either water aerobics that was Pilates based or mat Pilates 5 days a week. The Today Show had featured the Wilmington YWCA program during the previous October. And it just made all the difference in the world. It builds your core muscles, balance, range of motion. People have come and gone, moved away. But I'm going to be exercising every day for the rest of my life. What I've come to find out is with COVID, I am a social exerciser. When I have a time to be someplace and I have people, you're not really answering to them, but our class, we do have bonding and they notice when you're not there. I am there with that support. And then the other thing that I found that was different from commercial gyms are fine. You know, any exercise is better than no exercise. But with our former instructor and now with Beth, they are very protective. I have lymphedema in my left arm, but because of the water aerobics and I swim laps at the Y and the exercise, I really don't have to do anything except for, wear an elastic sleeve when I fly. But if I don't go and do my exercise, then I have to give myself a massage. But as long as I go to my classes, one thing I don't know if you noticed is as Beth would do the exercises, she would do usually repetitions of 4. And part of that is in case you have lymphedema, you're protecting that arm. The whole time I've been at the Y, I feel very protected and I trust my trainers implicitly.
So Carolyn, let me ask you a couple of our questions that we have here.
Okay.
First of all, I had a point of clarification. Did you have a mammogram before your doctor discovered your lump, or had it been a year?
I had it after, but I have one every year. And I go to my gynecologist and then he arranges the appointment.
Okay.
I realized there might be a problem when he got me that appointment in 2 days.
Right.
They were very receptive to it.
Okay. And then the next thing I wanted to ask you is, what was the most difficult part of your journey? Let me also say that it sounds like you had a wonderful support system, and your husband seems like a jewel. He did a lot.
It, because of being in women's health care and actually working in breast cancer, on one of his medical advisory teams, he had a breast cancer surgeon out in California at the University Hospital in San Francisco. And she had had breast cancer the year before. She was younger than I was, but she had already been through what I'd been through, besides that just being her place of expertise. And she called me up and she said, you know, there are good surgeons everywhere, but she said, the one thing that you're going to live with is the rest of your life is what the plastic surgeon does. She said, you make sure you have a good plastic surgeon. We have a great one here. Well, we have several, but we have a very seasoned staff. We are so fortunate.
Very good. I'm going to bring Laura in now.
Can I
Oh,
put in
yes.
one more plug?
Yes.
The last thing that I did, but the YWCA is my love, and they transformed my life. But in October 28th of 2014, so it was a little year after I'd had breast cancer, I did go through a 3-month program at the YMCA called Live Strong. And it's for any cancer survivor. It's not just breast cancer, but they expose you to exercise and give you good support and give you a makeover. And I would suggest anybody, you know, you have to use all the tools that are afforded you to complete this healing process.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Appreciate it. Okay, Laura.
Yes.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry. I've been back and forth between my laptop.
You've been busy. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay.
Tell us
That
how
was-
we can take charge of your breast health.
Yes. Well, several things that is it Carolyn?
Carolyn, yeah.
Carolyn said and things that Beth said kind of resonated with me. Been a nurse for almost 25 years. Women's health has been a focus of mine for a while. I moved to Wilmington permanently in 2018. And before we started our multidisciplinary program at New Hanover, I was calling the head of the cancer center and saying, hey, I'm a breast navigator. I'm moving to your area. Just wanted you to know. And they said, well, we're piloting the program. We don't have it yet. And I said, well, that's what I do. I live in the Midwest and I'm moving to your area and I'd love to help you start it. So I kind of just got the job at the hospital. I worked on the general surgery team and then started working in breast oncology, working with those breast surgeons and plastic surgeons, and just found my way in there. And now I've been running it since 2019, and it's been great. We are so fortunate with the community our size and having one main hospital in our area in New Hanover County to be able to have the quality of surgeons and clinicians that we have. And I think it's because people like to live near the beach, so they're drawn to this area. So that's one of the things that draws people to the area and why we have such a high caliber of physicians. But I've really started to notice that through COVID, people are coming out again and they're sharing their stories, they're volunteering again, and people are starting to really do their screenings on time. And that was kind of a big thing that happened in 2020. I'm a high-risk patient. Myself, my sister had triple negative breast cancer at 43. My aunt is a breast cancer survivor. So I have genetics plays a part of it, but it's not everything. Only 4% or so people have that BRCA1 and 2 mutation. And, we all think, oh gosh, I probably have a genetic mutation. It's very rare that we would have that mutation, but, family history can play a role, but it doesn't have to play a role. Environment also plays a role. Obesity plays a big role. Black and brown women are more likely to be diagnosed at a later stage, and they're more likely to die from breast cancer because of access to care. There are just many more statistics that I could share that are, and also that are specific to this region. But a couple things I wanted to touch on, talking about Beth and Carolyn. I'm a huge Pilates advocate. Love Pilates, worked on reformer for years. I did the mat class. I'm sweating while you were doing it. And I am so thankful that we have high caliber instructors in this area, especially at the Y. The Y's been part of my life, my whole life. From camps all over the country. I grew up in Hawaii, to me offering the Live Strong program to survivors, free 12-week program. That's, like Carolyn said, the very first time exercise has been a part of many of our survivors' lives. And then it becomes a habit and becomes a way of life. And I'm very, very thankful for that program. One of the things you said, Carolyn, Oncotype at that time was an experimental test. I order about 12 oncotypes a week for our patients. And that is taking the tissue from your biopsy or taking the tissue from your surgery, sending it to a genomic health lab. And they they do all of the testing on it, and it could come up with a recurrence score. And it really helps kind of complete that puzzle piece and shows us what, the likelihood of recurrence could come from, not just from your surgery, from your statistics, from your, your location, your grade, your stage, but oncotyping, this testing. We are developing new tests every year. And this is really a revolutionary test that you had access to that we use every day. The other thing is that I strongly suggest anyone, I go to Glenmead Health. I moved here, I filled out a piece of paper about my genetics, my sister, my aunt. Really what's supposed to happen is a follow-up then, and so they're supposed to offer you genetic testing. So make sure if you fill out that questionnaire at your primary care or your GYN's office that you are being followed up, and then ask questions like, no one in my family's had breast cancer, but my father had prostate cancer, my uncle had pancreatic, and especially ovarian and breast. If you have a family member that has ovarian or breast, it's likely that you should be tested genetically. Now, whether or not your insurance will cover it, that's a different thing, but that's why we do benefits inquiries to help out. And there are a lot of companies that will let you pay cash just so you have that knowledge. If not for you, for your children, your grandchildren. So genetics and on that additional oncotype testing, very important component. Am I going too fast?
No,
I really
really great. I do have a couple of other questions, so whenever you finish answering that.
Well, and the last thing I'll say before we go to questions, Carolyn was talking about she had her regular scheduled, she had her mammogram, then she had her scheduled appointment with her GYN. A self breast exam once a month at the same time, recommended for every person, man and woman. Men, of course, also should do the testicular exam. I have those little tags in my shower. My children who are college age have always grown up with those tags in the shower. They thought that they came with the shower. So when they went to their friend's house, they thought, why don't you have a tag in your shower? And so I just thought, well, no, oh, my mom's a nurse, that's just the way it is. But always knowing if there's a change, size, a dimpling, discoloration, nipple discharge, true for men and women. So you didn't detect it necessarily at the mammogram, but through a clinical breast exam. So you could have been doing your self breast exam, but a clinical breast exam done by a trained clinician. I mean, I am sore afterwards. I'm laying down, my arms over my head. They're usually talking me through it, but they're feeling down to the chest wall. They want to make sure, especially if you have dense breast tissue, that they're really feeling all of those areas. And it can be uncomfortable. It's not painful, but you definitely feel like, there's been something done. And I think it's good to have someone that's objective and say, how long has this been there? And you're like, oh, I didn't know that was there. So that's what's called a palpable lump. Some people have palpable lumps, and some people have lumps or lesions that are found on imaging. So those are the questions that your primary care physician or your GYN will ask. Did you find it yourself, or did it come through to me through mammography? And so when you have that screening mammogram, if they find something on the mammogram, it is usually then referred off to an ultrasound or an additional 3D or tomosynthesis mammography, and then a biopsy. And from that biopsy becomes, hey, it's benign, or listen, this is what we're going to have to do. And your clinician, your surgeon, everything happened in record time. A month from biopsy to surgery it's perfect. It's well within the NCCN guidelines, and it's within an appropriate amount of time for things to be underway. Enough planning is done, enough decision-making time, but from biopsy to surgery or to treatment, you had excellent care. And it's almost been 10 years ago. So that was perfect. And the last thing I will say is that I've always known exercise to be important in my life, and that I noticed growing up that people that exercised had lower body mass index or more muscle to fat ratio. You always seem to be happier, but also always seem to have fewer health issues. And so, a kid can figure that out. It's not always easy to incorporate. I take the stairs a lot at the hospital. I can't always get to the gym. I hate to work out with a mask on. So, I love that our employee gym offers mat Pilates. They offer training outside, and everyone's vaccinated. So things like that. But I really, I enjoy doing your class. Like Carolyn said, it's hard to get yourself to, turn on the Zoom or the whatever to join your class, because you really want that person-to-person contact. But it was really enjoyable to have a live person teaching your class. So yeah, I'm still sweating. But those are just a couple things that I took notes while you guys were talking, and I just appreciate your work in the community.
You did mention men. Could you speak a little bit about the risk for men to have breast cancer, and how often you see that?
So 1% of all of the breast cancers diagnosed, nationally, locally, are men, and they're usually diagnosed at a later stage. And why would that be? Well, men don't want to tell people they have breast cancer. They don't want to deal with a lump in their breast. It's a female thing. I mean, I've had men come in and say, well, I have chest cancer. And I said, okay, you have chest cancer. It's located in your breast, but yes, you have chest cancer. So it's a stigma, just like mental health awareness is a stigma. I mean, and hopefully with information, we break that down. But men are likely to be 1% of all diagnosed breast cancers, and also to be diagnosed at a later stage because of not wanting to come forth, or we don't really target that demographic as much. But when I do, I find that at first they're reluctant, and after that, they just want to get it taken care of. And then, same thing, we go in and do a lumpectomy or a mastectomy, taking a lumpectomy, just the lump with margins, or all of the breast tissue. Men have breast tissue as well. Women have breast tissue that we don't even know. That tissue around where your bra comes and connects that back, that's breast tissue on the side. So we have breast tissue that kind of wraps all the way around. So, and it can be detected in the fold, in the nipple, in the axillary tail, as they call it. It's so much more complicated than we even know. So that's why it's important to do that. So
I was actually having a discussion the other day that even sometimes when women find a lump, they don't want to go to the doctor because they don't want it to be something that's happening. So
I have a little, absolutely. I have a little PTSD from my sister calling me and saying, I was zipping her up in a dress. We were at a family wedding, and she said, what's that? And I felt, and immediately my face went white, just lost all the blood flow in my face, because I knew it was a pea-sized lump on the side. And she had a mammogram 6 months before that. She was 43. She was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer. Carolyn, you're talking about the receptors. She had negative estrogen, negative progesterone, and negative HER2. So no estrogen or human epidermal protein was making those tissues grow. It was just growing. They were growing on their own. And we think that we don't know what causes it. It could be environmental concern. So, when I go in and get my mammograms, I'm always texting my husband saying, fingers crossed, please pray for me today, because I don't want to even get the call back. And then sometimes I get a call back, and then the anxiety level goes here. But I mean, for me, it's just reaching out to someone to make sure that I'm not doing this alone. You know, I'm waiting for this. I'm sweating. I'm like, okay. The other thing is I don't have time for this. I don't have time to get breast cancer right now. That was the other, that was the one I heard this week. I don't have time for this. So
I have a question from the audience for you. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Let me ask Beth this. You mentioned the Pilates benefit for breast cancer survivors. Can you speak about the water aerobics part of Flow Motion and the benefit from that?
Sure. So we meet twice a week for deep water aerobics. And I have learned from being part of this program that the water does several things. One is ease of movement. Instead of like, if you don't like to walk, like Carolyn didn't love to walk first, like getting into the water, being able to run in the water with a water belt around you as comfort is less jarring on your bones and less jarring on the rest of your body. The fact that it eliminates gravity allows you to do a little bit more. Like we can do jumping jacks where some people don't love to do jumping jacks. So that, you know, that elimination of gravity and you're floating in the water with a belt around you really helps with that. The water creates resistance. So it strengthens your arms, it strengthens your muscles, and it definitely improves your cardio. I don't know if you've ever tread water or, you know, used that fluid motion to move in the water. It really does create that hydrodynamics that can make you stronger. And exercise, you know, in general has proven to help the side effects of breast cancer treatments. I think the biggest part of and Carolyn mentioned this, is the community that comes together in the pool in the deep end every Wednesday and Friday. It just amazes me that these women are connected through this one thing, and yet they connect through other things as well. And that improves their mood. I mean, you know, it improves, it helps them kind of, each one helps another one, or each one teaches one, which I find fascinating by just listening in and knowing that they have these points of connection. So I love that. I will say, I know we are short on time, but I'm going to tell a story for Carolyn, because one of my favorite stories that she tells about her success in this program is that I think sometime shortly after she had surgery and probably her treatment, she went shopping, and she would get one item and put it over her arm and go to the dressing room and try it on and go out. And she was only able to hold up one garment at a time, go into the dressing room, try it on, come back. Months after Flow Motion, she was in the dressing room and had realized that there were multiple dresses draped over her arm, that she had gotten so strong that she could shop with ease and have a good time doing it. So I think that's one of my favorite stories that she tells, that is a success of the programs like this. So
It's always good to be able to shop.
Yes, absolutely.
Laura, I did have another question for you. Are there any resources to help people who can't afford a mammogram?
So locally, we have the Breast and Cervical Cancer Prevention Program through the Department of Health and Human Services. So Department of Health and Human Services, walking distance of the hospital. Linda Bueller is the director, and you can go on bccp.org or health and North Carolina Health and Human Services.gov and access the BCCP program. And that is for cervical screening and for mammography, either free mammography or lower cost mammography. If you are a breast cancer survivor and have already been diagnosed with breast cancer, that is not available to you. There are other programs then which would be available to you through Susan G. Komen or Lump to Laughter or Going Beyond the Pink. Going Beyond the Pink and the Department of Health and Human Services, along with, I'm trying to think of the Links Association, and I don't want to leave anyone out, Novant and HRMC and the American Cancer Society. We are involved in an initiative locally called the Breast Health Equity Program. We have a women's event on the 25th, which is a week from Monday, at Martin Luther King at this Robert Strange Field 2, starting at 5 think it's 5:30 to 7:30, but it's outdoor. If you're vaccinated, come on out. If you're not vaccinated, come out and wear a mask. And it's a lot of screening materials, and there'll be a food truck. It's free to the public, but those organizations that I mentioned are the organizations that I would reach out to. Department of Health and Human Services, bccp.org, and the American Cancer Society.org.
Thank you very much. Very helpful. Are there any support groups for breast cancer survivors that you know of?
I do know of Lump to Laughter. Connie Hill is the chairman of that organization. She has a great book out. She usually has a yearly gala. We haven't had it for the last 2 years. There's lumptolaughter.org. She and her organization do have an online support group. Going Beyond the Pink.org has a resource site. You can use the QR code on your phone or go on there. They can link you to a lot of it's support services and online support groups. And people say to me, well, I don't want to do it. I want it online. I want to do it in person. Well, people do AA online and are successful. So I think, it's what we have. And if you can meet with, someone in person and have that connection, that's great. But if at this point we really can't meet in person, I think that meeting online is a good, substitution.
Well, this conversation has been very enlightening. Thank you all very much for coming. I'm sorry, I feel like I could talk to you guys for 2 hours and still not get all of the information in that we need to get in, but I'm going to ask you each to leave us with a 1-minute just thing to remember to help the community. Laura, would you like to go first?
So I would like to say, please do your self-breast exams every month at the same time. It would be optimal to do a clinical breast exam once a year, have a clinician do that. And then it would be optimal for everyone to get their yearly mammogram. If you cannot, have a buddy that goes at the same time that you do every year, usually on your birthday month.
That sounds good. Thank you. It's a good way to remember it. Beth, what would you like to leave us with?
Oh gosh, put us on the spot. So aside from being a Pilates instructor, I am a dozen-time finisher of Ironman triathlon. And that is a lot of swim, bike, and running, which is a lot of exercise. But I will say that their motto is anything is possible. And I have learned from this program and from these women that is true, not only in triathlon, but in life.
Thank you very much. And Carolyn?
If you see something suspicious, you need to act on it. And if you get a diagnosis of breast cancer, you just need to be patient and follow the treatment and allow yourself to heal. And so patients, don't get anxious,